Driving around Fayetteville, Arkansas, I'm struck by a number of things. First is the construction that seems to be everywhere. Sprawling housing developments on what was formerly farmland, stretches of strip malls with fast food chains, and of course, factories, large-scale chicken farms and processing plants that are around every corner. I passed by a small airstrip owned by Tyson's Poultry, the largest producer of chicken in the world, as well as a number of Walmart superstores, this being the hub of both of these major corporations. It's also the hub of much of the poultry industry in this country. But Fayetteville and Northwest Arkansas weren't always like this. Over the years, the area has become one of the biggest producers in the poultry industry, but this is the result of a long evolution. In the late 1800s, much of the area was dedicated to the lumber industry, providing wood for the growing railroad tracks throughout the United States. When timber became seriously depleted, the industry turned to fruit production, which suffered in the early 1900s due to extreme drought. Next on the list was chicken. Many farmers turned to commercial poultry farming because its success didn't rely so heavily on the soil or the weather. Early chicken houses held about 500 birds, and the cattle industry was also strong at the time. In the early 1970s to the present day, the poultry industry slowly became consolidated, with large-scale companies taking over most of the industry. The average small farmer didn't have the money to access new technologies, so large processing companies were able to take over the market. The industry rapidly became concentrated into a few firms. But the poultry industry, alongside Walmart and the booming construction business in the area, is only the first half of this story. Where there is booming industry, there is also a booming worker population, and this is where UUSC, alongside its economic justice partner, the Northwest Arkansas Workers' Justice Center, comes in.
Protecting the rights of low-wage workers is a constant struggle, one that is at the core of our mission. The Center is a community-based membership organization of worker organizers that aims to strengthen knowledge around labor rights issues, fair wages, and health and safety on the job. The Center has a particular focus on women and immigrant workers, and we are currently moving in the direction of collective organizing and away from case-by-case advocacy.
You know, as long as these employers are not being held accountable for their actions, they're going to continue to do it, and the workers are going to continue to suffer. And so that's what I feel needs to be done. Some major legislation to change these and make the employers accountable for their actions.
The Workers' Justice Center has three main focus areas that try to address some of the fundamental underlying issues that have developed as a result of the rapid growth of the industry, the influx of immigrant communities, and the boom of construction and development. Our focus areas include workplace health and safety, wage theft, and gender discrimination. In an area that could be called the poultry industry's belly of the beast, these issues are common for most employees. Many workers face deplorable workplace conditions, and local industries are known for rampant violations of labor and environmental laws.
Arkansas is an at-will employment state that rarely benefits workers because what at-will means is that unless there's an express contract between an employer and a worker, either one can terminate employment without any liability. So often employers fire workers without any particular reason. Arkansas is also a right-to-work state, which means that they cannot make membership in a union a condition for hire, and that really weakens unions and creates the conditions for lower wages and poor working conditions. Workers in poultry plants are injured with shocking regularity. 1 in 5 workers is injured on the job. 100% of poultry plants surveyed by the Department of Labor did not pay their workers for all the time they worked. 100%.
Pues no sé cómo me lo remolineó, pero yo en el instante yo lo quise salvar, pero ya no. Me lo metió así y de una vez me le dio harta vuelta. Y donde me le dio bastante vuelta, pues ya no lo pude sacar. El dedo estaba bien prensado. Ya cuando lo quise sacar, ya de una vez el pedacito con el guante, un guante de trapo que nos ponemos y el guante de nylon, había quedado en el hoyito y mi dedo, ya este cuero había quedado levantado así. Así quedó levantado. El puro hueso se miraba, el puro hueso así. Y ahí ya no me acuerdo ya porque ya me desmayé, no sé qué pasó ahí. Ya Más bien dicho que ella no me acuerdo porque me agarró el que estaba trabajando porque estamos trabajando dos así al lado. Él me agarró y ahí no sé qué pasó. Más miré que sí.
Over the past 10 years, there has also been an explosion in both population and construction in Northwest Arkansas. Construction companies often pay below the federal minimum wage or hire workers with no intention to pay them. Construction workers are often injured on the job, sometimes permanently disabled or killed, and are often denied access to workers' compensation. Arkansas now has one of the fastest growing immigrant populations in the country. It was ranked 4th between 1990 and 2000 with 196% growth, and it had the fastest growing Latino population between 2000 and 2005. 51% of Arkansas immigrants were undocumented, compared with 29% nationally. The highest foreign-born population shares can be found along the northwestern edge of Arkansas, with some of the largest communities in Springdale, Rogers, and Fayetteville. The Marshallese community in northwest Arkansas is the largest outside of the Marshall Islands. Tyson Foods estimates that 50% of its night shift employees are Marshallese immigrants.
We are here in northwest Arkansas. Even though we are here, let's keep our heritage, our culture, pass it on to our kids.
Because of a free association compact made between the United States and the Marshall Islands following the devastating nuclear testing that the U.S. conducted on the islands in the 1940s and 50s, citizens of the Marshall Islands are allowed to live and work lawfully in the United States, although they're not eligible for benefits from Medicare, Social Security, food stamps, or other federally funded public assistance.
In Northwest Arkansas, immigrants are often subject to random traffic stops, threats, and abuse under the pretense of a law dubbed 287G. 287G deputizes local and state law enforcement agencies to enforce federal immigration law. The Rogers and Springdale Police Departments and the Washington and Benton County Sheriff's Departments all participate in the program. Often when workers demand their wages or workers' compensation benefits, employers decide to call the police on them.
While Arkansas is the #2 chicken producing state in the nation, 3rd in turkey production, and 8th in egg production, earning between $3 and $4 billion for the poultry industry each year, 26% of immigrants live below the poverty line. The average annual earnings for women workers in Arkansas are $19,100 and $17,700 for Latina women, who are often supporting households of more than 5 people. In addition to workers' rights issues, the environmental damage that results from the poultry industry is staggering. The state of Oklahoma is suing 14 chicken companies in northwest Arkansas for polluting the Illinois River watershed and causing high levels of cancer-causing chemicals in drinking water. According to the Oklahoma Attorney General, the waste from the poultry industry that is dumped on the ground every year in the Illinois River watershed is equivalent to the waste of 10.7 million people, more than the population of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Arkansas combined. This affects the community at large and shows the clear connection between the struggles for workers' rights and the human right to water.
At the Workers Center, we know that we are in a long-term struggle to better working conditions and workers' rights in our area. We are moving from a model of providing services to workers to one that ensures workers are at the helm of a long-term movement. Developing a strong membership and providing workers opportunities to develop leadership skills are a critical element of this process. Through outreach to faith-based communities and local leaders, the Center seeks to create a model of organizing that takes into account the social and historical context of the area, one that is unique in many ways.
Alongside UUSC, the Northwest Arkansas Workers Justice Center is beginning this process, supporting immigrant and women workers in Northwest Arkansas to secure their rights.